Hello, and welcome to the Chevalier Sisters. Today is Friday. Now we are only posting on Fridays.
Yes.
That's sad.
Oh, sad.
So this month, obviously, we didn't have a very organized updates, so that might be a bit confusing.
Yeah.
You'll just have to watch our hilarious videos to the end, so...
Pretty much.
But, if you're here just not because of us at all, and because of what we're talking about, well, welcome!
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about character arcs.
Character arcs. And so, to introduce ourselves, I am Aubin Elise, the author of The Second Nature of Indigo, which is right there. And I am currently editing Hearts and Stones by M.M. Wonderland.
Yep, M.M. Wonderland is my pen name. My name is also Mariella May. I'm almost a published author. I am very close. We're deep in the editing stages. Deep, very deep. But the release date might be changing. Again, we need a proper updates.
But that day is not today. Let's get into character arc.
So the things we were going to, as most of our videos start, Aubin and I were just eating and talking to each other. And we were talking about, well, okay, I'm currently reading Caraval, which is I'm reading it for the second time, and it is our book tea book this month, so look out for that long discussion we're gonna have.
Oh, so long.
And I was thinking about how great all the character arcs are. Like, everyone, I'm gonna be honest, doesn't start out super great.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much no one. I mean, Scarlet's
good,
POV.
But she has a lot of problems.
Oh yeah, Scarlet is not like a flawless character.
No.
But she's not like, I wouldn't say she's morally wrong. Like, she makes choices out of fear, which is not the healthiest thing to do, but like, morality wise, she's trying her
best.
She's fairly moral.
But I think that's another
distinction to make. Not all
character flaws are immoral. So, yeah, and I think that's a really great thing that Stephanie Garber does, is she gives all of her characters very different flaws. Like, I don't want to spoil things for people who haven't read it.
This is not a book tea
This isn't a book tea.
But...
We'll get more into particularly Caraval stuff, but her other series, Once Upon a Broken Heart, the two main characters have very different flaws.
Yes.
They both have significant flaws. One of them has
one kind of flaw, and the other has another kind of flaw.
Yeah, and I think that a great thing that Stephanie Garber balances is that she never really compares flaws. She's never like, oh, well, at least my flaw is better than your flaw.
Interesting.
Which I think is something that really annoys me in a lot of books, is when characters almost, like, put the other character down in the sense of, well, I might be problematic, but you're worse. Or the reverse in, like, well, I'm just, like, worse than you, and that somehow makes what I'm doing acceptable. Or counter is when they just roll over character flaws and give no one an arc, which is the main premise of this discussion.
There's always the times where they roll over character flaws, and it's not that they, like, couldn't have an arc, it's that it isn't seen as a problem.
Yes!
Which is kind of what we were talking about this morning.
Yeah, it was more of that. Also, another way that you can do this poorly is if your character's flaw is resolved incredibly quickly. Or, like, one small change. Like, something that I will bring up with main male character in Caraval is that his problem isn't instantly solved. He does start working on it pretty consistently and pretty quickly. But it's not solved. He still lies regularly, and he still deceives regularly, and he doesn't, not even trying to, which is something that I relate to a lot. Like, I'm a very deceptive person, unintentionally. But I find it really great that no character is just like, oh, now I'm in love, somehow I can solve all of these problems, which I feel like is a solution that a lot of people use.
There's a difference between a reason and a method.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are times when, yes, you do change because you love someone. Like, I think that is a huge, one of the biggest motivators for change in real life and therefore fiction. But at the same time, it's not a cure instantly. I think sometimes, like, you do have mindset changes, and that can be something, but there's also something to be said about habits. So there's habit, and then there's mindset, and these two are inextricably linked. But the habit sometimes takes more time to change than the mindset. Yeah. And what we see is the habits instantly changing. And I think this can also happen in real life, like miracles happen, but
it's less likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really hard thing to balance, because you have this character and their mindset is changing. And I mean, even as a reader, you're like, oh my gosh, they're so much better now. Why do they keep making these, like... Yeah. And I think that it's a really tough line to walk with, oh, does this character improve really quickly because they're in this new situation? Or are they still tied up in these old habits? I'm going to reference Caraval again, because how Scarlet is written throughout all 3 books is that she still has a very protective way of doing things, which isn't a bad thing. And I think that's a really great thing, is that all the character flaws have good sides.
Yes.
Like, her overprotectiveness is also just protectiveness, which is a good trait. And, you know, it means that she does a really good job taking care of people. And I think that's a really hard thing that I'm balancing in my book, is how quickly characters improve. Because I have a character that's very strong physically and very naturally talented at a lot of stuff. But there's also another character who's been working on it for way longer, and has, you know, a better sense of fighting and has been in more fights. So balancing how they interact in, like, training is very interesting, because one of them will improve more and the other one is already have improved so much. So balancing that.
What I was going to say earlier that you reminded me of is I was talking to Mom one time and I was telling her about this K-pop band. And
nice. Which one?
Stray Kids.
Oh, perfect.
My favorite one.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, somehow we were talking about personality flaws. And I was like, the amazing thing about Chan is that he's so, like,
kind and, like, upbeat for everyone.
No, what I was gonna say is that protective. It was kind of that same thing, but, like, sometimes that...
But I feel like he's protective in, like, an emotional way.
Oh, absolutely. I love Chan. I think he's great. But then we were talking about other people as well. And anyway, Mom was like, the strongest part of your personality is also your weakness. So your bad traits are just your best traits reversed.
Or taken too far.
Taken too far, exactly. Like, so, like, if you are a really lighthearted person and you are good at lightning situations, then maybe your weakness is you
taking things seriously.
It is not being able to take things seriously, or trying to lighten moments, or ignoring your emotions, which we see all the time in society and real life. So
or the character that, like, doesn't know how to comfort a friend because they're just like, hey, used to lightning situations,
or protective to, like, overprotective,
extreme,
or So, I've never been able to stop thinking about that.
Yeah, no, that's a really brilliant...
like, thoughtfulness is also...
and then you start
reading into things. It's, like, a really
things.
strong... Yeah, but then you start reading into things, and it leads to things like anxiety or hypercritical thinking of yourself, I
do that to you. I'm like, oh, I know that face. I know that Aubin face.
And
then I see it. I'm like, wait, is that Aubin face? Or
you just gotta relax.
Yeah. That is my character flaw. Lying and reading into things too much. So I think we should move on to, like, trying to improve these in your writing.
Well, your weakness in your writing is probably also your greatest strength. So pinpoint your greatest strength in your writing. And then that usually, from there, you'll be able to find, like, my strength is in line writing. Like, I'm super good at writing these, like, the line by line.
Imagery.
I'm excellent at grammar. I'm excellent at making these thoughts flow beautifully. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to
do anything else.
Do plot. Like, plot is not my strong suit. Or suspense.
You're like, I can describe this beautifully very quickly.
Or dialogue, because sometimes people have trouble, like, separating dialogue, and I think that comes from you have a very strong internal voice.
Also, if your strength is world building and you have a really great environment and a really great plot and a really great story, then a lot of the times your characters will just be, like, almost in a play. They'll be reading off their lines, they'll be saying things that are necessary, they'll be spotting things that are necessary and nothing that's unnecessary. And I feel like I find that a lot, especially in younger writing. Like, YA and juvenile books just have this tendency to just be like, oh, spot this and that and this, and oh, blotted out this plot point.
I just found that today in Indigo. I was like, no, younger me, don't do that.
And I mean, it's a really easy trap to fall into, because yes, your character would notice that.
And absolutely.
So you need them to, like, communicate that, but also they might notice other stuff. Also, if you're a really great fashion designer and you just spend like the entire book describing fashion, you might want to tone that back a little bit. I'm just gonna be honest.
But getting back to character arcs, which is kind of the main thing, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was probably gonna say the biggest thing is to know who is that character and what is their problem.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna find a good example that's not gonna spoil.
In your book?
Oh, I could do for my book. I wasn't thinking for my book. Okay, so my main character starts out not super prideful. You know, she knows her skills. She knows what she's good at. She has some things. Then she proceeds to become a bit more prideful. And pride becomes her defense. So throughout the first part of the story, she becomes more prideful. Especially when she feels attacked or insulted. So, she almost acts. She turns it on the other person in making herself seem so calm and collected. And that becomes her pride. It becomes her source of character. She's like, oh yes, I can stay calm and collected. And then she becomes prideful about that, which leads into other things, like her skills. She becomes prideful about how physically able she is. And then throughout the story, especially in the second part, she has to deal with her inabilities and what she can't save. Even as she gains more and more skills and power, there are just things that she can't fix and things that go wrong, even when she has, the power to fix things. So she almost slingshots into the opposite direction of thinking that everything is her fault because she put that pressure on herself. She put the pressure of, I can fix everything, so I must fix everything. It's going to definitely in the second book lead more into that. She's already started separating herself from every problem because a lot of accidents happen and a lot of things can't be stopped. So even with someone with such an ultimate, again, I can't spoil anything.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just... Spoil. It's really interesting, and you guys should read it when it's out. A lot of this will make more sense. So, I think the most important thing is to get in the head of your character. Like, a character we were talking about earlier is Cardan Greenbrier from the Folk of the Air trilogy, and we were both wanted to see more improvement from him, and more life from him. And we read the letters from him to Jude, and they were great. And I was like, I wanted this Cardan in the third book. And I don't know if it was like a time pressure that Holly Black was under or like editing stuff, but I don't feel like we had enough Cardan and Jude.
In a story that's essentially
a long romance.
A lot about Cardan and Jude.
Yeah, and I feel like Cardan especially fell into the trap of just improving without improving. It's like he's better now. And we never saw that, and I
think we saw improvement, but we didn't see that as much towards Jude. It was like he was improving all around, but his... it was interesting.
I don't know. I personally think that Queen of Nothing was just way shorter than it needed to be. I feel like I definitely would have read it if it was, twice as long and had twice as much stuff. That is another thing, especially if you are a younger writer and don't want to write that much. You're just like, I just, don't want to write a whole deep thing. I'm sorry, but you're probably going to want to.
I think there's something about character arc that's the length must fit the character arc.
Yeah. I don't want to read, 10,000 words on how a character got over, eating too many sweets. That's just doesn't seem as deep as a character having to deal with their separation from everyone else and their inability to form relationships. And I think even with that, I don't want to read 10,000 words in a row of that.
One thing I'll say is that there's always at least 3 layers, 4 maybe, of things that are going on. So there's, in every character arc, there's there's internal pressure, there's external pressure, close external pressure, and then general external pressure. So there's the pressure you put on yourself, there's the pressure that the people you love accidentally or purposefully,
mm-hmm.
or you kind of reflect off of them back on yourself. And then there's the pressure from the general world.
So your plot.
These usually affect different types of writing. So internal pressure usually affects line writing. Mm-hmm. Then I would say like this middle pressure affects dialogue and
I feel like even space.
In space?
As in like...
I was going to say general...
Just like physical descriptions and stuff? Yeah. Environment. I would say even the space that the line writing gets. Because I feel like if there's external pressure to go quickly, then I feel like a really great way you can illustrate that is if your descriptions are shorter or if...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of these layers interact and mingle with each other, and you kind of have to be able to think at all of these levels to create a really 3D model of this character arc design. One of the most helpful pieces of writing advice I ever got was a character should never be feeling one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really carrying into writing my second book. It's like, he's never feeling one thing at a time.
No, he's feeling like
at least 8 things at a time. And that instantly made my writing so much better and my character arc so much deeper. Because if you're feeling multiple things at the same time, you can have the old feeling of how you would have felt before. You can have the gut reaction feeling, and then you can have...
your habit. I feel like
the habit, and then you can have this at least maybe a feeling of like a foreshadowing of something later, like
or something you're trying to improve.
Scare you about the future? Yeah, yeah.
You're like, oh, I am feeling all these things, but I really want to be feeling this about it.
Yes, there's the layer of what you feel obligated or want to feel.
Obligation is a really interesting thing you can play with constantly throughout your arc. I feel like that is a really underused thing in character arcs for particularly characters who are obsessed with something. I don't know why I thought of Cass and money.
Guys, Ella has read
I have read 6
so little chapters of Six of Crows.
I think about Six of Crows so often.
Yeah.
Anyway, a really interesting thing that I have with my main male character is that his eyes reflect his mood. So his eye color changes. This is never the eye color and what they mean is never specifically stated for most colors.
I'm still trying to figure some of them out, and I've literally read hours of this book. I've read it so many times. You
probably read like 50 hours of my book. I've read
50 hours of this book, and I still haven't gotten all the colors. So they're actually really, really nicely designed colors.
And I rarely ever describe him as his eyes being one color. It's very rare. They're usually either quickly shifting or staying at multiple colors. There's only like
a few times.
3 times.
Yeah,
3
and
times.
I love those times.
That they are one solid color. Mm-hmm. Both eyes are one solid color. And it gives those moments
so much impact.
A gravity, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're all 3. I mean, one of them less so, but the other 2 are...
I remember the one. I remember the most important one.
Wait,
I remember...
What's the most important one?
Okay, I remember when his eyes turn red as he's walking up in the snow-covered place. His eyes are red.
Where? Oh, no, they're not.
Yeah, they are. You know, you describe it. You do a wonderful, beautiful job of describing it. You're like, most people would have thought his eyes were this color.
Then it's 4. Then it's 4 times.
4 times. Okay, so there's the time that is leading up to that. Then there's the time after that where it turns to a different color. And then there's the time when on the 1v1.
Yes.
The 1v1.
That time.
And I can't remember the other one. What's the other one?
The other one is in her room, actually.
Which time?
The first time.
The first time.
Okay, not the first time. He's in her room. Anyway.
The first... What?
You first guys time? Will know.
First time?
No, the first time. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I know. I'm just trying to be funny.
My book doesn't have any spice, guys. And one of the colors, I tell you, not in relationship to his eye at all.
What?
The color of loneliness. I tell it to you not. And then when I finish the description, I tell you that it is also how his eyes work. Anyway, that was just a fun thing that I threw in there.
I guess I had already figured it out by that time.
You had.
Okay, so then I was like, of course it means that.
Yeah, but I hadn't ever stated that in relationship to his eyes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. Some really nice line editing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was so bland the first time.
It
was so bland. Guys, thank your editor. Because they are doing so much for you. Even if it's just, no, rewrite that. And I'm like, why?
I've said it before and I'll say it again. My job is simply to go, Ella, this isn't as good as I know you can make it. Go, come back when you do it better.
That's how the cover art was done.
And then I just keep doing that until I'm happy with the final result.
Nice.
And Ella's happy with it.
Yeah.
And like every time
we have a
more.
Oh, I love it way more.
So much more.
And the thing is, okay, we can get into having a great editor another time.
Later. But we're gonna make lots of videos about editing, guys, because this is like
our life right now.
Yeah.
So, something that I was going to say.
About character arc?
Yes, character art in relationship to love. So,
yes.
How does your character's flaws, if you have a romance in your book, relate to their romance? Because I think that is something that was not done enough of in Queen of Nothing. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I feel like
we can't get too far into it because
a little bit more.
That'll be a lovely.
That'll be a lovely
spoilers included.
But yeah, I feel like we needed more of how their flaws interact with each other's, because a lot of times, characters' flaws can actually be great for each other. It can be. It's like the classic, like iron sharpens iron. Like if you have two characters that butt heads in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think. Like Scarlett and Julian really do that in Caraval.
Oh, definitely.
Because their flaws just like they are just very different people, and that makes them both better.
Yeah, because they're giving each other the side that they don't have. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be really random and bring up a book series that I haven't even finished. I think the series is overall called Crave.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Anyway, there are these two characters, and I love them so much, and they are really sassy to each other and really snappy, but they're always there in the best way. Like they're sassy and snappy in like a helpful, no, you can't die on me right now way, which is so great. And
they're always dying on each other.
Kind of. Okay. And they're always something is going on. Or like, you can't leave me. And it's great. Or it's like, yes, you can leave me. And then it's like, I'm not going to leave you. It's like, why are you doing this to me? This is so much harder now. Anyway, I haven't finished the book series, so I can't give an overall impression. But the third book I did really enjoy, and just having your characters feel very human in their interactions. I think also another fun tidbit thing that you can add in if your character has a flaw that they don't like share as much, or the other character doesn't know as much, is if that comes out either when they're feeling a very strong emotion or emotions, like if they're angry and if they're excited or something, if this flaw comes out, or I mean flaw, I say in quotes, they could either not think of it as a flaw, or they could think of it as a flaw and no one else think of it as a flaw.
Like it's an ingrained behavior?
Or it's even just a physical thing. One of my characters cries whenever he's angry, and he really hates it. He thinks that it's, very uncool. So nobody else really knows that because he never lets himself get that angry. So it's like this suppressed flaw that he doesn't even deal with because he doesn't let it happen. So if you have a character that has like either really bad anger issues, so they just like constantly stay out of conflict, or they don't debate anything, or they just go along with the other people, that's a really interesting way to pull it out. And if you have, I don't know, just any thing that happens to them or that they fear or that they get really emotional about, if you can just like, pull that in slowly, is way more cool than just like, bam, this character cries when they're angry.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's not really.
I mean, that's not
an arc.
That's not an arc. I mean, it is, because it's accepting his own.
No. If you just like.
Yeah, no, that's
everything
not
at the beginning.
Yeah, because then it would just be like, oh no, buddy, it's not bad that you cry when you're angry.
It's kind of like stairs.
Then it's like,
kind of like stairs at that point. It's like oop, 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 oop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's no descent. I feel like an arc also has like waves. So, yeah, if it's just like improvement, it doesn't feel, dramatic.
Well, there's always something coming up, you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, you can be improving on one thing, and then, like, this whole new issue, now that you're improving on that, this new issue arises that you haven't dealt with. And that's a really interesting character arc as well.
Especially if it's, like, you know, two characters, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know you had that flaw. Now I'm dealing with that flaw, and it's affecting one of my flaws, and it's really bothering me. And then it's like, I'm sorry, but I, like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so that connection, when the characters, you know, work through it and solve it, it deepens their relationship. And I think that it also showcases a really great difference that I don't see enough in YA literature, and it is the difference between attraction and love. Because I feel like a lot of books end up in just like, man, you're so hot. Well, I mean, you're hot too. And then it's just like, you know, these two hot characters proceed to be sassy with each other and have fun and go on an adventure, which, I mean, yeah, that's fun, but it's not love.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you bring in the honesty and the reality and the connection and I think that this is something beautifully illustrated by Once Upon a Broken Heart. How they both started out, you know, with this kind of, it wasn't obviously like, hey. It was different than that, but it still had like this surface level.
Yeah.
And then there was this constant mixing to make it more real. And I think another great thing is the slow reveal of their problems, because it wasn't all just like, man, this is who I am, this is who I am. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm learning all these things about you, and like, it kind of sucks. And then it's like, oh yeah, you're just now realizing that? I've been living with this. Anyway, it just has that strength of character.
Mom and I did a video on Mom's YouTube channel, which is called Love You're Unlovable, and in that video, well, the one I was in, the two videos I was in, we were talking about Love You're Unlovable, Heartbreak, which, guys, those are great episodes. You should go watch them.
Yes, you should.
But we were talking about, if you don't have to put in work and fight for something, is it really yours?
Oh.
Because it's not really yours until you accept it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a certain amount of, like, fighting for it to accept it as your own. Like, you have to say, I want this enough to keep fighting for it. And if, like, with that, there's, like, problems. I feel like what we see a lot is, like, there are problems thrown at the characters in a lot of really surface level romance stuff. And it's like, oh, these are problems which the characters get over, but it's like, the problems don't have to do with them. They're usually about outside context, about the plot. It's like, oh no, the world's falling apart.
Or it's like, oh no, I'm getting bullied. That's like, you know.
Those aren't really problems between the characters, but once you have problems between the characters, and once they have to decide, do I really love this person, or did I like the way they make me feel? Did I like the way they made me feel when they were like, when there was no conflict? Or am I going to figure stuff about myself? Am I going to, like, be there while they figure out stuff about themselves?
Am I willing to take care of them when it's hard, when it's messy, when it's not what I wanted?
Because is it yours?
Yeah,
if you don't accept it, you could argue that it's not.
One of my favorite quotes in the third book of Caraval finale is, maybe love was never earned. It was always a gift. Which is such a beautiful and brilliant thing. And I mean, as, you know, believers in Christ, we constantly like, wow, how does God love us?
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really beautiful thing you can illustrate in your book with, like, I don't love you because X, Y, and Z. I don't love you because you're buff. And I don't love you just because you're hot. I mean, I do like that you're hot, but that's not love. You can, there are thousands of people that are hot.
Yeah.
Millions, probably billions of people who are hot. You're not in love with all of them. And I think another great thing is all the different kinds of love. And, you know, someone doesn't have to be hot for you to love them. Wow! which I think, again, is something that really isn't touched upon enough in YA books.
You know what I find really interesting about my book?
Yeah?
The one that's not out yet. Dad said this thing as I was reading the book to him, and he was like, what I find so interesting is that the more Gabriel falls in love with this woman, the more beautiful he sees her. Her physical appearance didn't change. The way he relates to her physical appearance changes because he falls so much more in love with her. And I hadn't even realized I was doing that.
I mean, I think that truly happens. And again, I'm going to say that you can find someone, you can be in love with someone, and you can find someone incredibly beautiful and not be sexually attracted to them. Like, I have a friend, and I don't think that they think that they're very beautiful. I think that they are really beautiful, and I just love staring at their face. And you know, I love that friend. I love them so much. And, you know, I wish that they could see how beautiful they are. It's, you know, it's not just because, like, oh, they have the perfect bone structure. Oh, this, that. Like, I think beauty, especially in books, is just, you know, reduced to these descriptions. Like, oh, yes, his hot, muscular structure.
His sapphire blue eyes.
Like,
I've got nothing against sapphire blue eyes. I like sapphire blue eyes. But, you know, once you say that one descriptor 8 trillion times, I'm done.
Yeah.
I want to put glasses over those sapphire blue eyes and never see them again.
You know, it's really interesting. I'm just realizing this. In my book, I don't actually describe the main male character's physical appearance that much.
You don't?
I describe that he's short.
Yes, you do. And you do that quite a lot, actually.
But I don't really, I'm not like...
But it's more like jokes.
It's more like jokes. Short. And, you know, comparing him to people his age who are just tall. Like, ah ha ha. But yeah, I mean, I'm not...
Same thing with Atlas.
Yeah. In Aubyn's lovely book. It's like...
My editor was like, you need to describe him physically more, because you never do that. And I was like,
I will try. And I think, I mean, again, I have nothing against hot characters, obviously. I mean... But I think it's when their arc and their romance is reduced to their hotness.
Yeah.
So, a recap. Number 1, please give your character multiple problems that are revealed at different stages. Make them real problems that have to do with themselves and the people that they're around.
They usually trigger other things about characters other people around them.
Yeah, getting triggered. And working through their triggers and their trauma and their relationship with this character. Don't let it just be about hotness. Or, I mean, even if it's not hotness, like power. Don't let it just be like, oh my gosh, this person's so strong. Or like, oh my gosh, this person's so smart. Or just anything. Because, again, that's not a personal thing. Really feel out your character. Really sit with them. Really think with them. Think about how they interact with the people that they're around, and have a great time writing.
Yeah.
If you want to hang out with us next week, we will be doing our spoilers included book tea
for Caraval,
which I am so excited for.
Oh yeah,
I love Stephanie Garber.
So what is book tea spoilers included? So book tea spoilers included is when we break down a book.
Basically do our book club.
We basically do our book club. But we break it down out of, like, because we're authors, we break down the writing style, aspect, the craft of it. Yeah. And we go all the way to the end. So it's super duper, like, you guys will know everything. So many spoilers. And please don't you dare watch this video until after. We are not just doing
Caraval, we are doing the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
So
Caraval, Legendary, and Finale. So you have to read all 3 of them.
We're not doing Once Upon a Broken Heart. That will be another time.
We will probably reference it a tiny bit, but it won't be a spoilers included. So
there won't be any spoilers. Oh. Sorry. Also, we're not doing the short story, the novella.
The novella. Oh yeah, we haven't read that. Oh guys, our event at Once Upon a Con got approved.
Oh yeah,
so we are going to be doing to see us basically talk about writing. In person.
We're gonna do a panel on
I don't know if it's called a panel. Or you're going to do a session.
Where we talk about...
It's called How to Write Your Novel. And it's basically us, doing this. But then at the end, we'll also have Q&A. So you guys should come and hang out with us at Once Upon a Con in August. It's August 17th through...
We'll put it up
19th,
We'll put it down in the description.
It's in Maryland.
Yeah.
In August.
Mm-hmm. It'll be super fun. Also, both of our
right
books,
outside of Washington, D.C.
Both of our books, Aubyn's second book, my first book, will be out by then. So
yes,
you can come and hang out with us there and buy our books.
You'll get to read the books we've been talking about for months.
Yes. Alrighty, guys. I love you.
Bye.
Never exactly right on the first try. Haha.
All right.
Hello, and welcome to
W. No, it's the death of WTF.
It's not
okay,
WTF
guys.
anymore.
Hello. Our posting schedule is. Oh my god.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, guys.
Okay.
All right. That looks so off to me right now. Doesn't that phone look off? I mean, does that not look off? It's not even parallel to the stand.
But
not
the stand
isn't. I don't know that it is. Change the angle within DaVinci. Okay, all right, so what are we doing today, Ella?
Wait, are we not redoing the intro? I feel like...
No, I feel like we got it.
Hello, and welcome to the Chevalier. Do you want me to do...
No, I got this. Okay, all right, I can do this. I got this. All right.
Immoral.
Yeah. Immoral.
My main
Your
male.
main character is he married lettuce?
Reflect his mood. Oh my gosh. We wish you
all the best in your writing endeavors.
Yes.